productive day. It was a great crowd, first of all, sunshine out there, so everything was a positive. We stayed healthy, it looks like, which is always a big worry. A lot of young kids got reps. We're basically missing 6 starters right now would be on the offensive side, or excuse me, on the defensive side that didn't play a snap today, and 4 or 5 on the offensive side. So it was a tremendous day for those young kids to get in and compete at a high level. Some experienced players shined out there. So it was overall very productive. Got exactly what we wanted out of it, and would have liked to have more special teams. I think in the future we will, but just with where the numbers are at and where we're, the direction that we're moving, I want to make sure we're as prepared June 9th when we walk back in here for summer as possible, and I think we got that accomplished today.
Jeff?
Gary, you've talked all spring about wanting to throw the ball better, catch the ball better. You didn't have Andersen today, but it still appeared that you guys were able to move the ball through the air, especially with Stavi.
Yeah.
Was that as good as he's looked all spring?
Yes. Yeah. I thought Joel was poised today. I thought he, it wasn't perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. They caught the ball good for him. Thought we were getting in and out of our routes better. Protection was much better. Now I will say this: defense today was very vanilla. Offensively, we were very generic, and defensively, we were very generic. But we did throw the ball, bottom line, and we did catch the ball better than we have all spring today. That was very encouraging. Yes.
What was the reason to be generic on defense, Gary?
Just, it's on the Big Ten Network. That's the biggest reason.
Could you critique Phillips as well, please?
Yeah, I think Kurt had good demeanor. The turnovers were down. I think he had a good. He was poised. He had composure, like he's had, and you would expect from a KG veteran, which he is. Threw the ball. He got some balls down the field and did some good things. And he probably had a couple he'd like to get back, but so was Joel. So positive performance, really. I hate to look back at just one day, one performance, but I think this last week, if I look at both those two, we're moving in the right direction with just feeling comfortable with what's going on.
How much of a running component do you look for in a quarterback?
Depends on his skill set. If the ability is there for him to make some plays with his legs, we'll allow him to do it. I believe that the young men in this program can do that. So the ability to have a touch of option in the future will be there for us without question. The read zone, you've seen that. You saw that 2 or 3 times today, and they don't have to go 80 yards when they do it. It's just the fact that you have it that causes some problems for people, and the young men in our program have the ability to do that.
Yes.
You talked about trying to find a big play wide receiver after Andersen. I know there weren't a ton of big plays today, but did Kenzel show you some things?
Yeah.
Maybe a number 2 guy?
Kenzel's want to every day to compete is so impressive, and it was very apparent again today. He's crafty. He showed good hands, and I think he is continually, and again, I go back for about a week now, he's really shown solid hands throughout practice. Whether it's routes versus air or it's a competitive situation, he's done a very nice job, and he's hard to tackle, but his love for football brings a smile on my face every day.
Okay.
Coach, one of those groups that has been missing some players is linebacker. I was wondering if you could critique the linebacking group's performance and if anyone in general stood out to you today.
I would say this, Vince really, last 2 practices, I sat down and evaluated Wednesday's practice, and he jumped out at me, and he did again today. Made a couple big plays, came around the edge. He feels like he looks like he's just playing with more confidence, and he's kind of just letting it rip a little bit. And so he shined for me. But that whole group of young linebackers has had so many reps. There's so many. You cannot put a price tag on repetition in spring, and we've kept the other guys healthy. So it's going to be a good group of inside linebackers, a good group of outside linebackers. I'm excited to get BK into that outside linebacker crew in the fall. That will be fun when he gets out there. I know he's excited to get that going.
Jeff?
Gary, the day you guys scrimmaged out in the cold and the rain, the kickers didn't have a good job. French hit a couple today. He's had more of a solid spring overall, but did he need to hit a couple today after that scrimmage?
I think it's always good to get him into that position to have hands now. He's obviously done that, and he's done it on the biggest stages that there are. But I agree with you, he has been consistent, and he has had a good spring, and the numbers would prove that if you track him all the way through, which we do. He's kicked the ball well. He had a bad day in the rain, and that's something we can learn from, and he'll learn from, and we need to help to make him better in those spots, and he needs to work on that also, and we will. It was good for him to go out there today and put a couple through. It was a little windy out there, and it didn't bother him, he put it right through there.
Yeah, with James being out and Melvin getting a lot of reps today, what kind of stood out with Melvin and maybe some of the other running backs?
Well, Melvin, you know, the tweak of the ankle through spring slowed him down, but it didn't slow him down mentally, which really was impressive to me, because the day he came back, he was in the offense, he knew the offense, there wasn't MAs, there wasn't missed assignments, which is a credit to him and his ability to, you know, prepare while he's going through an injury. And then once he got back, I felt that the last 3 practices, he's really gained some momentum. He looks fast, he looks quick, and then carried on today. He ran with a good pad level today too. I mean, it wasn't, there was some suddenness to him. He got out and made some people miss on the one down the sideline, which is a really nice run, had some physical runs, so it was a pretty complete game out of him. You know, Watt's been good. He's been battling. It's his ankle also, and it was hurting in today, but he just kept on going through it. So it'll be nice to get those numbers built up when we get into the fall, that's for sure.
Gary, a cornerback, a big question mark, obviously. What have you thought of your corners all spring and today, and then did Shelton Sojourn do some good things today too?
Yeah. Sojourn,
sorry.
yeah, he has really competed all spring long, and the way he's handled the adjustment coming from high school has been impressive, not just on the field, but off the field. You know, his life flipped upside down, and he's handled it very well, and I credit the other corners who kind of put their arms around him and made sure he was moving in the right direction. But Sojourn was good today. He got his hands on 2 or 3 balls. You know, he'd like to pick them all off, but if he was that good at receiving and catching, he'd probably be a wide receiver. So, but he's playing very well. I'm happy where he is. And the corners as a whole, you know, really progressed, worked hard. It's a work in progress. Hillary's had a very nice spring. He's been very, very consistent. PJ gets better. So there's the list is not real long with those kids, but I think they have competed day in and day out, and techniques, moving to man coverage, moving playing dog coverage, blitzing sometimes, doesn't sound like a lot, but there's a lot to put on a kid's plate, and they've got better every single day, I believe.
Over the past 6 weeks, we've been able to follow a printed out schedule of what you do day by day. Can you give us a sense now that spring's over, what goes on, why the next 2 months are important, and what goes on in the program the next couple months from here?
Well, number one right now is finish academically, and that'll be a stress point. Coaches are gone, they're on the road, back and forth, but we have to be able to lock our minds and say we're going to finish the semester the right way and get our grades where they need to be, and that'll be important. Secondly is to use these next 2 weeks to get into the weight room and formulate our plan for the rest of this semester. And we won't just say, hey, take 2 or 3 weeks off. We don't have time to be able to do that, so we'll get our lifting in. And then we'll also use the next 3 weeks to the kids, I'm sure they're going to get out there and throw the ball around and do some things on their own, which is, we need to do that. We need to throw and catch as many days as we can between now and whenever that first game is that we line up and play. And those will be the points of emphasis. For me, myself, it's now the coaches have already had their evaluations with each young man on the team, or if not, it will take place tomorrow. It's the meeting that they sit down and evaluate them in a lot of different areas, and then I get the opportunity next week to sit down with every young man on the team and have an exit meeting with them, and that'll be good for me because it's a time now that I know the faces and the names, and I'm looking forward to those meetings.
Coach, Joe Schilbert's been looking for a home position-wise since he got here. Do you like what you saw? Do you think he finally found a home?
Yes, outside linebacker for sure. I can't tell you if he's going to grow to be a field outside linebacker or be the B outside linebacker. He has a good talent, knows for the football, very smart young man, and has had a very solid spring. So very happy he's in this program.
Gary, just looking back on the 15-16 practices you guys had now, are you pleased? Is this kind of what you thought it would be when now that's over?
Yeah, we're in a good spot. You're never going to get everything you want. You're never going to have it be perfect, but We wanted consistency, I think we got that. We wanted effort, I think we got that. You know, day 3, as I look back, was probably our worst day. We came back off a week of spring break, that I've never done that before in my career, is have a, you know, spring break right in the middle of spring ball. Kids handled it unbelievably well, and we really rolled in a good way, I believe, once we got back off of spring break. So it was a good spring. You know, we're excited to continually move forward. I wish we'd had some more numbers in some other spots, and the young men that were injured, hopefully we get them all back. So it was productive.
Do you think you got through the worst of it with the offensive line, and how much better do you think the offensive line can be in the fall?
But I think the strength by numbers will be better for sure, and they have to be. We've got to be able to, you know, get into a practice situation, practice scenario where we can build a quality travel team and then build a quality service team for the defense. So that's going to be a work in progress, and that work starts tomorrow in recruiting with the coaches again to get out there and try out those numbers. They'll improve. I watched tape again the other day and evaluate the offensive line, and I go back to practice 1, 2, and 3 and sit back and watch some of practice, you know, 12, 13, and 14, and pad level's better. Use of hands is better, which you would expect. You'd expect those things to be taking place. But it's good for me to stand in the back in those scrimmages, and there's good communication, which tells me they got an idea of what they're doing and the direction that they're headed. So I expect them to be a quality offensive line in the Big Ten.
Harry, you mentioned getting Brennan Kelly at the outside linebacker spot. I'm not sure if that's going to be much of a transition for him, but what type of player do you expect at that spot when he comes back next year?
When you flip on last year's tape and you watch him, he's aggressive. He plays very, very hard. You know, defensive end, have my hand on the ground, not have my hand on the ground. It's not going to affect him at all. I think he'll hop in there and do a very good job. And he's a talented young man. He's played a lot of football, and he's excited for that, you know, that opportunity to get one more year back. So he'll be at the B-side linebacker side without question. He'll also be highly involved with the nickel packages and the cowboy packages. And when we do get to 4 down in the pass rush scenarios, he'll be a big part of that. But he'll be a big part of the base package too.
You took a couple shots downfield, didn't connect. I guess, is that quarterbacks, wide receivers? Where do you put that?
Yeah, from where I saw, I probably couldn't answer that question honestly with you. We're going to take those shots though. We believe we've got to be able to get those down the field, you know, 2 or 3 times a game, and whether it comes through play action, it comes through straight drop back, or we see something in our coverage, we're going to take those shots down the field. So today, I don't know quite why they didn't connect, but you know, when Jared's in there, we got a pretty good chance if we get it close, we're going to get it connected. The other young men will continue to work, get better at it, and better at throwing it and catching it.
Anything else, Coach?
Okay.
All right, thanks.